Okay, this video is about finalizing the engine mount onto the firewall, with the engine on the engine mounts and everything tightened up. Recalling from the last video, we got all four holes drilled in the mounts, and the next thing is the manual on, I guess it's page 16, recommends to put the engine on the mount before you put the mount on the firewall. I've decided I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it the other way. And that's so it makes it easier to get that mount exactly where I want it, where it was before when I drilled the holes. And that's going to be easier for me to do. So without further ado, let me show you how that's done. Okay, I'm screwing the engine mounts back in, and this bottom engine mount, I can't get the lock nut in that I wanted, so I'm going to drop a little thread lock, blue thread lock. This is the Permatex brand thread lock, and I'm just going to drop a couple of drops right there, and one little drop, and I'll catch that with a towel, and that's about all we'll need. And the paper towels aren't nearby, and I'm going to get a paper towel before it drips, and I'll probably be too late. Let's see. Okay, I'm just going to dab that little drip off. That's all you need. Just dab that drip off. And I'm going to screw the bottom one in place with that little blue drip on it. And that'll spread the thread lock in where it needs to go. And the thread lock will, because it's blue, it's semi-permanent, not the red, and that will hold the bottom one in place. And I'm going to tighten that up pretty good because this is the final install, but wait a minute, I got to back it out, make sure it's all the way into the center, and it is, being assisted by the way the threads are going. Okay, that's good and tight. Don't wrench it down. You're not tightening the head of a 57 Chevy. But that's the blue thread lock on the bottom. Okay, for the top mounting screws into the firewall, I'm going to let the screw come to the back, and I'm going to hold the locking nut. This is the locking nut that goes with the M4 30mm screws that came with the airplane, and I'm going to just put that on the back and hold it and screw that in until it starts turning. Okay, now I'm going to take the 7mm and hold that in place while I screw this in place. Okay, that's going to be a little tougher for the automatic, so we'll do it manually. Alright, before I tighten this up, I'm going to make sure both sides are over and vertical and it looks good. And we will tighten this down. And after this gets tight, this can be loose, So I want this one tight, and then I'm going to tighten the wrench in the back down until it's good and tight, and guaranteed that ain't going nowhere. Okay, and we'll do the other side the same way. Okay, back at the front of the airplane, these are all screwed in, Loctite on the bottom two, locking nuts on the top two, and the holes are finished. We're going to find out if the holes are going to work. This thrust washer does come forward, so you got to find out where it goes back and get it all the way back in place. There we go. Okay, so the thrust washer is back in place. I'll pull that out later. And I guess all the tubes are going to be on top, so I'm going to clip this back over here and get it out of my way. And let it be held by that little nut there. Okay, so don't want to drop this. I got screws on the ready. I've got let me get them ready. Yep, alright. Dropped a tiny little washer. I'll get that one in a minute. Grab it out of the washer. Okay, so I got my washer and my nut, and my bolt, and going to get another bolt with a washer on it, and 2 bolts will be enough. I got 2 locking nuts on it, so I'm going to put the 2 on this side first. So I'm going to drop the engine in place. Holes look good. Drop one in, drop another bolt in place, and then I'm just going to start the 2 locking nuts. Start the other locking nut. Okay. And I'm going to put a washer on this side and drop that bolt in place. Gotta pick the washer up off the floor that I dropped and get the last bolt and put that bolt washer on. So I got 4 washers, 4 bolts, and they are going in very smoothly, no problem whatsoever. And I'm going to start these. Easier said than done. You gotta see what you're doing here. Okay, unlock that lock nut started. Okay, so I got 4 lock nuts, 4 bolts, and 4 washers in place. Alright, let me go get the wrenches that I need and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and just for grins I added the 2 little measuring boards that say 4 3/8, and I'm gonna engine is installed but not screwed down, and that is a straight line across, so the thrust washer is at 4 3/8 from the firewall. That was just for grins. Also to make sure if I screwed up I wouldn't go through all the pain of taking this thing off again. Alright, so I've got the 5/16 wrench, and I have the 7/32 hex, and I'm also going to go get the other 7/32 hex. Now that I think about it, because this is a long one and this has got to reach down from the top here, and I'm not sure which way I'm going to do this. I'm going to start with the small one first, okay, and see if I can spin this from the bottom here. Okay, yeah, that's going to work. So I'm going to just hold the top, spin the bottom, and the round side is what I'm using. And we'll get this sucker done in a jiffy. I'm not going to... I'm going to drop that on the floor. Hold on a minute. Okay, got my wrench back off the floor. Probably not the last time I'm going to drop it. We'll try to be careful here. Alright. So I'm going to use the long one just for the heck of it here. Nah, the short one's better. These Dubros have the rounded tip on them, and that rounded tip just isn't as good as the ones that are completely hex like these are, and so this will work better. Okay, finger tight. By the way, the instruction manual said to put the engine on this before you put the engine on the firewall. Before you put the mounts on the firewall, and I decided not to do that because I put the engine before I put it up here just for test. I put the engine bolts in and didn't screw the locking nuts down, and it fit fine. And so I was comfortable enough. It's much easier to work these in place without the engine there. So I didn't do it exactly as the instruction said, but it worked fine. All right, so. Okay, finger tight on those. The other side is where the muffler is. On this side is the muffler. Muffler is not installed right now, so that's so you can get to these two bolts here. But I'm not going to waste the time. Just watch me screw in two more bolts. So I'm going to stop here and screw in the other two bolts off camera. Okay, notice there's one more thing I want to show you. This is where the muffler goes, and that's nice and bright and shiny, and you don't want to scratch it up. So when you're doing this on this side, don't use this in the up position because it won't quite fit and you're going to scratch this, and you don't want that scratched. So make sure you do it in this direction. As I say that, let me get it in there in that direction. Okay. So don't do, have this small little L here so you don't scratch up this surface there, because that is a seal between the muffler and the engine, and there's nothing else sealing it. I don't know if they put in them. Some engines put in a muffler gasket. I didn't see a muffler gasket on this, so it's just bare metal to metal to seal it. And so as you tighten these, don't mar up that surface where the muffler goes. Okay, thank you. Okay, getting ready to finally tighten all 4 of these nuts. If you have, if you're lucky enough to have a 5/16 nut driver, because the 5/16 is the wrench I was using, it's much easier to hold it, these nuts on the bottom, and that way you can turn the little L this way and use the driver on the bottom to do all the final tightening. Again, you're not tightening the head of a 57 Chevy, so this is more than finger tight, but not so much that you break the bolt, because these bolts, I have broken bolts before like this. Being too cautious. Alright, let's get the Allen wrench in place here. There we go. Alright, the nylon will compress a little, and that's good, but don't wrench it down because you will break the bolt. Thank you.